Right, now I'm going to come and teach like a normal person. Down on the ground. Okay, what are we doing today? We're going to look at winners, look at kids, and think about how kids can teach kids. I feel very short down here. So, 21st century skills. I saw there were quite a few talks at this conference on the 21st century skills, so I imagine you're all very familiar with them, to the point possibly of nodding. I'm sorry. But I have to think in terms of teaching what it's all about. So I've got some up there. Learning and innovation, critical thinking, and are your kids really bad at critical thinking like mine are? Okay, thank you for nodding. No, I'm actually quite surprised sometimes that when you ask a question, what I asked the other day, it was very simple, like, what holidays do we have in Italy that you also have in the UK? And the answer was Christmas. So of course I said, well, why? I thought, here we go.
It's going to be a long lesson.
Right, so these are the things that we're interested in. As I said, collaboration and teamwork, creativity, imagination, critical thinking, and problem solving. Problem solving, your students are fantastic, useless. In the primary school, I get, I can't find my pencil. Okay, problem solving will be stand up and look for it, but the usual attitude is, yes, I can't find my pencil, as if I'm supposed to do something about it. Whereas with my secondary school students, the problem there is how to keep their phone near them, but without the teacher seeing it. So, yes, my latest boy is to walk up and go, have you got a new phone? Yes! And they show me, you're not allowed phones here. I've only collected a few, but I do give them back. I am quite generous, considering they're theirs. Right, so, collaboration and teamwork. This is an example from one of the ALE books. So, here, work with a friend. Collaboration, not difficult there. Creativity and imagination. So the teacher wants you to prepare a show. These are things from the book. They're simple, nice things. What's the name? So the children have to invent. Let's get on to the serious stuff, Tracy. Okay. How did the kiwi fruit get its name? And I would like you to note that this is not a kiwi. This is a kiwi. Kiwi fruit is the thing you eat. So why is the kiwi fruit? How did it get its name? And you're doing exactly what my students do. You look away. No, I can't. No, I can't. No, don't look at me. Does anyone know?
It's like a kiwi bird.
I love you. Exactly. Oh. Now, would you like the history behind that? No, I'm going to tell you anyway. It is actually called the Chinese gooseberry. It was introduced to America in 1947, and they were having an anti-Chinese moment. So Chinese gooseberry was not acceptable for the marketing. So they decided to call it kiwi fruit because it looked like a kiwi bird. Well done! And in New Zealand, we still called it Chinese gooseberry. It comes from China. All right, so I'm sure you know about the process of critical thinking, yeah? You've been on the internet, you've Googled critical thinking and you've seen this? Yes, yes, we have. You can nod, it's okay. So, here's a question for you. I know you can read, so I'm not going to read it. What's the answer, children? Great faces. The last question was easier, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know, it's not possible.
Nothing's impossible.
It's tricky.
It's tricky, I like that one. When you give up, it's okay.
No.
No, I like it stubborn, I like it. We will find the answer.
I was traveling in time.
No.
Maybe he was traveling by train or something.
Something's closer to the answer.
Yeah, there was something about it.
Yeah, not a train. I promise you it's not a train.
there's something about the horse, you know?
Good girl, well done. Keep going.
Yeah.
I love you yet again. A cowboy rode on his horse into town on Sunday, the name of the horse.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay. So, instead of coming to me and say, Tracy, can we have some more questions? Why don't we find a book that can do this for us? So, I love this. Now, have a look at the pictures, kids. What country do you think this is? Japan. Now, why do you think that? Because I know the place. I've been there, and my students don't say that to me, I can promise you.
Cultural association.
Right, exactly. So, seeing a photograph, something that maybe you've seen in a film, you can clear this little, you can see the bottom picture. Now, could this be in Gdansk? The bottom picture? No, because it would mean every single person in the city is actually involved in making the photograph. Okay, so no. We have a look at the child at the top. We think, okay, it's probably Asia, and in fact, it's Japan. Well done. Now, what can you tell me about these pictures? It's still Japan, okay? We're not asking that one. What can you tell me from this? What do you recognize, children? Nothing.
Letters? I mean,
Right, we can see the house. Is it similar to your house? No? Okay. What about the picture in the middle? What does that say?
Sushi.
Right, the thing is, we all think of sushi, don't we? So we're very clearly thinking here of, I can see some noodles, I can see some signs that are written in a language I don't know. What about on the right? What does this tell me? Very little furniture, right. What is she doing?
Reading.
She's reading. Is that position?
backwards.
Sorry?
Comic book backwards.
Right, it possibly is, but we don't know that yet. We do know that she's reading. Is this how you read in your house? Right, so what does this tell me? Number one, she's different from me. Two, she does the same things as me because I read. I just don't lie on the floor to read, also because I live with cats. If I do that, I have a cat on the book as I'm reading. Now, I love this picture. I do love this because this little girl has just woken up and someone has very kindly jumped in to take her photograph. Now, how many of you would like someone to take a photograph of you as soon as you wake up? No, this is what I think this girl is a winner. I'm sorry. Good morning, for. Now, this is why this book helps me. This book tells me how her day starts. It also gives me some words that actually I might know or I might not know. It tells me about her bed. Her bed is a futon. Will your students know the word futon? Okay, so they find out a new word. What does this tell me about her bed compared to your bed? It's on the floor, exactly. Is your bed on the floor? Well, my bed is on the floor because I have 4 legs that attaches it to the floor. But my mattress is not this high, Tracy, but it's a high mattress. Here in Japan, they sleep much closer to the floor than we do. Now, it says, Naoko describes what she does every day. Write to her about your day. So what are we doing here? We're comparing her culture with our culture, but we're doing it at a normal, because we all do this, describe a daily routine. But here is something where you can compare it with another culture, which I think is wonderful. Here, she talks about what they eat in Japan for breakfast. This, I think, is wonderful. I had it was year 5 last year, one of my classes, I had 10 different nationalities. When we talked about what was normal for breakfast, normal for lunch, normal for dinner, all these other things came out, and I thought, this is just wonderful. They're learning so much from each other, and it was just a wonderful way of being able to involve the world in our classes. Now, we already saw what they had, sushi. Sushi for breakfast? Do we know sushi for breakfast? Probably not. Lunch? Maybe. Dinner? Maybe. Supper? Maybe, okay. The book will actually tell you the answers. I'm not expecting you all to know the answers, by the way. Because teachers do not have all the knowledge in the world, despite the primary kids thinking you know everything. Keep it that way. Have you been to Sri Lanka? Oh my gosh, I was saying yes. Oh dear. Do you know about Sri Lanka? Do you know where it is? Not yet. We never say no to a teacher. We always say not yet. Now, if you're looking at the picture, what can I say about Sri Lanka? It's a lot warmer than Gdansk on the 20th of September. Although I think I've missed it. Didn't you have some freezing weather just 2 days ago? Wasn't that right? And everyone brought out their winter woolies in September. Is this normal?
Yeah, sometimes the time it is.
Oh, so that was just for us. We have the conference that they organised. How kind of you. Wonderful conference organisation and the weather. Thank you. And someone told me on Sunday the temperature goes up again. Yeah, great. Thank you, organisation. So let's have a look at this. Okay, this is basically what the book is about. Again, these are things that are in your book, just normal life. So we have food, animals, and favourite hobbies. This is something that your kids study. I hope. Please say yes. Thank you. No, we don't do hobbies, Tracy. And then again, sorry, food. Are you hungry? Please say no.
No,
Not yet?
not yet.
Maybe. Okay. Here, when we arrive, we go to eat. A typical Sri Lankan meal is rice, meat, and vegetables in a curry sauce. But look at the picture. Is that how we eat here in Poland?
No, not
Okay.
yet.
Not yet. I like that answer. Thank you very much. Very positive. Sometimes with different sauces and different ingredients. But what I like, combinations can be very spicy, okay? But most people like it in this way. Often there are vegetables on the side. Is that the same as the way you eat? Did we see, remember something else? Let's have a look at this. Do other cultures eat in the same way as them, with the vegetables on the side? I live in Italy. The answer is yes. In Italy, we have our meat or our fish on a plate, and our vegetables are on a separate plate.
We do sometimes too.
So I think this is interesting, the fact that your culture is not that different from another culture, it's just the content of the plate is quite different. Here, traditional Japanese dinner with lots of little dishes. Didn't we just see that for the Sri Lankans? What about the Spanish? With the tapas, don't they have lots of little different things? So there's something that's linking us all together and making us think. Each dish is only food that is in season. Is that the same as here? In Gdansk, do we only eat food that is in season? Not really, because we go to the supermarket and we buy whatever there is.
Yeah.
Strawberries in December,
Yeah.
which, by the way, for me is really normal. I find it very strange to find strawberries in June, and I swear to you, every year I'm like, why have they got strawberries in June? And then I'm singing Christmas carols. Can't be why. Here. Do you have fish that is only found here? Do you have fish which is special for Gdansk? I was going to say maybe, but I'm not going to help you here. I've been here for 24 hours. Herring, exactly. But how do you prepare it here? I should ask you, how many people are from Gdansk before I start saying? You're not from Gdansk? 3 people are from Gdansk. Okay, but have you eaten in Gdansk or we don't eat?
In vinegar and...
Yeah, do you know another culture that does that?
Jewish people?
Okay. The Dutch. Okay, so we've got something else that's in common. Can we compare this to Poland? Can we compare this to Gdansk?
What's that? terms of sacral buildings,
Yeah.
churches,
No, exactly.
find some mosques.
Gdansk is a city in Poland, a city that was destroyed completely and utterly and rebuilt. You've got this wonderful mixture of buildings here. We're standing in an incredibly modern building, but I know if I go to the city centre, I'm going to find, I haven't been there yet, sorry guys, I'm going to see some old buildings, some beautiful brick buildings, St. Mary's, is that right? Is that, someone said to me it's the biggest church,
Yeah.
Brick church, yeah.
brick church, but in the world, in Europe?
In Europe for sure.
Wow, oh, can't wait. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But here, think of a building that you like in your town and describe it to your friends. I think this is an exercise we do with our class. The difference is, here we have a book that will guide us to make the children do it, get the children to do it, with a smile on their faces. Oh, yes, the 4 C's. Now, oh yes, sorry. Vancouver, British Columbia. Okay, now have a look at this. Where I live is about the size of New Zealand. This is why I chose the page. I'm sorry. The United Kingdom or Japan, for example. I've got nearly 950,000 square kilometres to explore. How much is that? The answer is a lot.
A lot, yeah.
Have you seen this? Talking of a lot, it's the Mediterranean Sea that fits perfectly into the entire country of Australia. Now I think this, I'm sorry, I found this, but someone sent it to me via WhatsApp and I thought, now this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant when you're talking about big. Because how big is Poland? It's big, it is big. But when you start putting it into a country like Australia, it suddenly becomes very not so big.
Australia is big.
Problem solving. Now we talked about problem solving and your students are brilliant, yes? Not yet? I thought so. Problem solving Kiwi style. And we're not thinking birds, I hope, not yet. Definitely not fruit. When you started with peanuts.
Oh, thank you, Sharon. The next great conspiracy. New Zealand is disappearing off world maps. Disappearing. It's all over the internet. Your Majesty, I'll keep this brief. New Zealand is being left off world maps all over the world.
I'm sure there is a reasonable explanation.
I don't think so. I've been searching the internets for the last 30 seconds and it's everywhere. This is a major conspiracy. I'm going to get behind it. By that I don't mean support it. I'm going to actually, sort of get in behind it. Not in a rude way. I'll go around the side of it, but I'm going to search it out. I'm going to study it. Leave it with me, my lady. New Zealand, where the bloody hell are you? Australia. They're stealing our tourists. Our wine, sacre bleu. Sneaky Frenchies. You missed it off by accident. Are you sure? Or is England trying to get rid of the All Blacks once and for all?
That was fast.
Of course, Your Highness.
Jacinda is fine, Reese.
Listen, this is big. Bigger than we thought. Bigger than the moon landing and Loch Ness combined. Which, by the way, is one of my theories, that those things are combined. Now look, I've boiled it down to a few things. Australia want our tourists, England want to get rid of the All Blacks, and the wine industry, they can't beat our Pinot or Sav.
Are you sure?
Well, I do have one more theory. We're quite a friendly-looking shaped country, a bit like a half-eaten lamb chop. Perhaps people are just leaving us off, thinking we're a mistake.
Reese, I've got to go.
I know, you're short of time. Okay. Now, do you want me home to report back to the nation? Because I can be there in 3 movies and a meal.
Look, Reese, you might be onto something, but we're going to need some help.
How's things anyway? What's the buzz on the beehive? Hello?
Typical New Zealand humour, I'm sorry. Did you see Vancouver was mentioned? Okay. Could you understand that? It's quite fast, a very strong Kiwi accent. There's now a series of advertisements, little problem solving. Did you recognise the woman? It's actually the real Prime Minister of New Zealand, which I think is rather amazing that she actually took part in something as peculiar as this. If you go on, I have got it, but I think we'll flip over it. Do you know Peter Jackson? Right? Peter Jackson at the moment is involved in a new release of Lord of the Rings. They're now making a prequel film involving Peter Jackson. And of course, guess where New Zealand is? Off the map. So he's involved in trying to find, see, problem solving in New Zealand. You have a problem, you call Peter Jackson, apparently. Now, are you going to move on? No. Okay. On a more serious note, problem solving. Okay, this is what our kids have difficulty with. They have a problem, and instead of trying to solve it, they say, miss, or mum. Okay, or they do what my teenagers are doing, because the teacher, no, the mum, no. They go on the internet and they find whatever comes up first, and what are they called? Alternative facts. They arrange the things in the wrong way. So how do we help them? Well, we give them a problem. Now you're wishing you didn't come to the talk. Too many questions. So anyone got any ideas? Shall we call Peter Jackson? Yes, I can see that. Pour water. Where? Right. Correct. And what will happen? Will rise, exactly, because the pipe, filling it up with water, you knew that. You were testing me, weren't you? Cheeky things. What about a book that has questions for the students to answer? Now, we have a problem here. The problem is a cat. A child wants to have a cat. What do you do when you want to have a cat and you're a child? Correct. Mum can have a cat, mum can have a cat, mum can have a cat, mum says no. Dad can have a cat, dad can have a cat, dad can have a cat, dad says ask your mum. Mum can have a cat, mum. What does mum do in this one? She says, don't talk to me, go and talk to somebody else, an intelligent woman. And the woman is this one, Aunt Banu. So here we have Dora, who wants to have a cat. And he says, cats choose us. Oh, actually, in my house, you know, I live with 10 cats, and it's very definitely, they just arrived at my door and I couldn't say no. So, here is a boy living in Istanbul. Do you know Istanbul? Not yet? Not yet? Some of you do? Istanbul is a city of mixed cultures. So here we have a little boy and he wants to find a cat. Have any of you been to Greece? Greece apparently has lots and lots and lots of cats everywhere as well. But you cannot go and just say thank you very much, I'll take you home. So, at the end of the story, do you think he finds a cat? Maybe? It would be a very sad book if you didn't, wouldn't he? You'd read it and it says, no, he went home alone. You sit there going, oh, great book, yeah, kids, yeah, very positive thinking there. So here, now if you don't want to see the picture, close your eyes now. Or look at your feet or something.
No.
Oh. Sorry, slightly biased there. So, the problem is, I want a cat. The answer is, go out and get one. No, it's a bit more complicated than that. The child has a lovely journey through Istanbul where you get to visit Istanbul, and it is absolutely fabulous. And you have a wonderful problem being solved. Now, let's have a look. Multi-ROMs. Most books today, most readers today will definitely come with a CD. Either with a CD, technically, physically, or you go online and download it. Alright? Here you have a multi-ROM. A multi-ROM meaning you've got the activities from the book, you've got the story itself, and you've also got the listening activities. Now, let me see if I can manage to do this. Bolivia, do you know Bolivia? I have to say, I learned geography doing all of this. I actually know my countries now. What did I do fairly recently? What was I saying to someone? Where is New Zealand? Do you know where New Zealand? Well, now you don't know because it's off the map. But generally, when it's on the map, you know where it is. Good. Good, I'm delighted. And a lot of people will say to me that New Zealand is just near Australia. 2,500 kilometres is not really near Australia. And we don't like them very much. Did you notice from the film? Because you know the Rugby Cup started today in Japan. World Rugby, I can see you're all very interested in sport. Thank you very much. Right, just nod and go, oh, interesting. Did you know we had a World Cricket the other day? Yeah, someone's nodding. Yeah, good. Do you guys know what cricket is?
Yeah.
Thank you for the nodding. Do you know what rugby is?
Yeah.
Do you know what football is?
Yeah. We have
Good.
very good football.
Yeah. Did you know there was the female world football this summer?
Yeah.
Oh, I get some nods. That's great. Some of you going, there is a world female. Huh? Right. I think we'll do a lesson on what geography is one day and what sports are related to countries. Poland, what would be your national sport?
Football.
That was wonderful, but all of you looked up. You know, I can see that. All of you went. What was the
Feels like
answer?
we've got good volley.
Volleyball, yeah.
And
A volleyball.
so cool.
Handball.
If we've got someone who's good, that's the national one, you know, like ski jumping.
Yeah. If somebody wins, then it's national sport.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Ski jumping, you know.
Tennis players, some of them.
Yeah,
Yes.
oh,
Yeah.
so your national sport is whatever's on at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, critical thinking. I wonder why that is. Ah, dear. Now, I have to say this. These books are award winners, okay? This is a brand new series. So, are you aware of the Extensive Reading Foundation? Do you know what that is? You're allowed to go, not yet? Okay. What this is they look at readers from all over the world, but they ask normal people to vote for the best. Okay, so there is a team of jurors, let's say, but they ask normal people like your kids, like you, to vote on the books that they think are the best. So then they are reduced to a few selections of finalists, let's say, and then there's the great winner. The nice thing is, it comes from normal people who read the books. Because too often people who decide are people who are in the business, let's say, and not the kids, not the people who actually do the reading. So here we have the winner, and I'd like to point out, post-reading activities use critical thinking. Do you think I pointed that out loudly enough? Thank you very much. You will also find Juanita and her Apalka, which was the winner this year. It's only just been voted. Here is what they said. I like that. I'm doing a talk on reading and you guys have to read for a long time. Something I think that is important, use of storytelling and a clue lesson. Do you do clue? From memory, Poland was one of the first countries to do clue as a real experiment and then part of the school program. As you've seen, the children come from all different countries, so geography is very, very clear. You've also got history, which I think is absolutely wonderful. You don't have to do anything. That's what I like. It's in the book. I've got too many classes to be going and programming, planning. Tracey, what language is that? Planning my lessons in great detail. So what I tend to do is I take something and I change it according to my different levels. So I've only got one book, but I will use it with different levels simply because it's easier for me. I think last year I had something like, 35 different classes. And apart from finding names very difficult to remember, and I do apologise, I want my life to be easier. I want to have a social life. This is what I like. This is one of the voters, one of the people who read the book, one of the kids. You all know Machu Picchu, you've heard of this, okay? You know that there are too many people going and now they're limiting the people. About time, but there they go. So this is something they may know about, but here you've got your lovely culture. May I?
Yeah.
Now, what I'd like to do is, if I may, I'll just show you a part of the book from here, okay? So this is what I've got.
Last September, I went to school for the first time, thanks to a teaching program in my village. I'll always remember that day. In the morning, I get up and I get dressed for school. We wear a uniform, a white shirt and blue shorts. I really like wearing a uniform to go to school. I feel great in my uniform. And lucky too, because I know that a lot of children can't go to school in my country. My teacher's name is Rango. He's funny and very clever. He teaches us different subjects like French and maths. My favorite subject is English. I love it because one day I hope to travel around the world and meet people from different countries. I want to learn about how they live and hear new stories.
Yes, rather conveniently, he likes English. Okay. Interesting? Okay. He wears a uniform. Do your kids wear uniforms? Okay. Apparently someone said to me that you used to in Poland.
Yeah.
Kids used to wear uniforms. Was that last century?
Yes.
Yeah, so this century the kids don't.
Yeah, when we were young, we were wearing uniforms.
Yeah, but I don't want to sort of start saying, how old are you? But we're talking about this millennium or last millennium?
Last. Was also around 10 years ago also or so.
Yeah,
There
it wasn't
was
like-
also 1 year or two when children were wearing
It
uniforms.
depends on the town, city. Yeah, I'm from Szczecin and my daughter went, now she's in a grammar school right now.
You see, that's what
yeah,
that's what I
they
think
are,
is
they are
wonderful. What you
uniforms,
just
yeah.
said is wonderful because
Yeah.
you're thinking, there's your thing, critical thinking. Why did it change? Okay, so there's something you can talk about in class. Why here is he wearing a uniform? Because it's part of a school program. It's to enable the children to all be the same in class. My kids in Italy don't wear a uniform, although they do have a school uniform when they're representing the school for sports. Then they do have a uniform, but my kids don't. In my primary school, they're supposed to wear a blue kind of jacket over the top of everything. I say supposed to, but I've got kids who don't have money. Well, the kids don't have money, the parents don't have money, therefore the kids just come in normal clothes and they obviously not stopped from coming to school. So there is something there. Another thing about this book, which they all do, let me see if I can find it. Well, there's very clearly about the geography part, but because I live in a country called Italy and we like our food. Whoops.
World.
Sorry.
What do we eat in the Congo?
Food, I'm sorry.
Congolese food, of course. And you will see we use a vegetable called cassava or manioc a lot in our cooking, and I love it. Here are some dishes.
Very loud. Thank you.
Mwambe.
Oh,
This is the national dish.
thank you.
It's made with chicken, cooked with cassava leaves, bananas, rice and peanuts. Chikwanga. In this dish, cassava is cooked and kept for later in banana leaves. Saka saka. Saka saka is made from cassava leaves. Cassava leaves are cooked with oil, peanuts, beans and salt fish. It is often served with rice.
Interesting. Similar in Poland? Similar to Sri Lanka that we saw? The rice, yes. Okay. Similar to Japan?
The rice.
The rice, yes. Fish? No. Vegetables? Yes. But not the problem of why, the critical thinking of why they do these things, which is what I think is interesting. Why do you eat these things? Because they're growing there. I mean, clearly that's the answer, but sometimes kids don't realise that. They simply think you go to the supermarket and purchase anything and everything you want. It doesn't work like that. Whoops, where am I? Now, I will talk a little bit commercially, but I think this is important for you. In the sense that, how can you quickly decide what type of book that you want? Topics. If you're studying friends, you're studying, what else does it say? Daily routines. The book tells you that. It also gives you the grammar, so you might want to focus on grammar, or you might think, yeah, my kids don't know that yet. It's not, it's too much. Vancouver, you will find, it's not very clear, is it? I'm awfully sorry. You will find, obviously it's a quick synopsis of the book. You will also find the picture all about Vancouver, but even looking at that, if you're in a classroom, what does the cover tell you about this book? Yes, good girl. What's that? It's about a boy. Do we know his name?
Alan.
Oh, she's a quick reader, that one.
Lives in Vancouver.
Well done! Oh, the smart people are down here. Oh, I like it. What else does it tell us? I know there's something there that my kids will look at that and will not associate with Canada, they will associate with the United States.
Yeah. India.
Right, exactly. Okay. This is why I think it's good, because students need to know that it's not necessarily A equals A. Sometimes A equals B or C. And I think anything that opens up your mind is brilliant. We have also, as I say, the kids are teaching the kids. And as much as you are lovely people, you're very kind, you're very beautiful, as my students say. You're beautiful. That means they don't want to do their homework. Do they listen to you, or do they listen to their peer? Peer, right. I mean, that's the same internationally. They'd much rather listen to someone who's the same age as them, or near enough. I don't know about you, but my 10 and 11-year-olds would rather listen to someone who's 13 and 14. They prefer someone to be a little bit older than they are. So, if you've got kids, keep teaching kids. Doesn't that make your life easier? I think it's wonderful. Now, if you want any more information, that's the website to go to. You'll find everything there. Very difficult website to remember, yeah? Early graded readers book. I should point out that the real life books are not available in other languages. They are only available for now in English. But there are readers in English, French, German, Spanish, Italian. You don't remember the other ones? Chinese and Russian, there you go. So you will find readers in foreign languages. Not in Polish, I'm sorry. But your kids read in Polish. They don't need extra help, do they? So if you have any comments, Et toi, that's their website to write to. You can write to me and ask me any questions you want. If you want, you can write to the info one, which is the general one. The top one, you can write in Polish. In fact, I would suggest you write in Polish. The middle one, you can write in English, English, or English. My English is quite good. And the bottom one, you can write in any language you like, because they will use Google Translate. That's what I do. So, I've been very brief, I have to say, which is good. We've looked at winners. Any child who can be photographed first thing in the morning to me deserves a prize. Also getting dressed. Some of my kids would be a little bit, hello a minute, would you mind looking away? Looking at kids, as a teacher, don't take that the wrong way. And how kids can teach kids. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming, that was really kind. Now, if you take your lovely expensive piece of paper to the alley store, they will give you a little present.
Okay.
Thank you. You finished early. Yay!